My name is Daniel D'Souza, and I'm going to be conducting an interview of a person who has personally experienced everything that has happened in Jammu and Kashmir. And she is here today to tell us her story. So, ma'am, could you please introduce yourself and tell us more about your service?
My name is Major G. Sareta, and I'm a retired Army officer from the Army Service Corps of Indian Army. I served for about 11 years. I got commissioned in March of 98 and quit in June 2008. I got a chance to serve in J&K twice. Once while I was posted in Pathankot, which is in Punjab, but the operational area was Jammu and Kashmir. And for the second time, I was posted at Udhampur, which is in J&K and happens to be the headquarters of Northern Command.
What was the nature of the service you rendered in Jammu and Kashmir?
So, out of my five postings, two were in J&K, as I just mentioned. So, the nature of work was primarily to ensure that the stores and equipment for the forces they get replenished in time. So, there's a lot of planning and indenting and warehousing that happens. And as an officer from of a transport battalion, my job was to move those stores and equipment from the base depots to the forward areas, so that at no time the troops are short of any, whether it is ration, fuel, ammunition, clothing, and other equipment. So primarily ensuring the logistics happen smoothly for the forces was the primary task.
So, ma'am, what actions has the army and defense personnel taken to fight and overcome the challenges faced in Jammu and Kashmir?
That's a very broad and very deep question. The policies and bills that get passed at a very strategic level, from the headquarters, and then the government of India is also involved. But at my level, at the operational level, there's certain kind of empowerment that has been given to the forces. Otherwise, it is very difficult to come out and fight a war, which is not even a war; it is CI operations, and the local population is involved in masses. So there's some amount of empowerment that has been given. Apart from that, on a technical skill set level, there are very different set of training that has been imparted to fight CI ops, because it is not a conventional war that is happening there. There are a lot of equipment which has been specially given to these people because they're exposed 24/7 to people who can be not favorable. Their whole training, equipment, and how they're being handled, because their morale, motivation, morale. If you're constantly in a place which is high risk, you're likely to lose interest. You're likely to want to go home, and you cannot take that kind of stress 24/7. So there's a lot of focus on keeping their motivation, morale high. Their leaves, how to plan their leaves in time, and otherwise also the officers are constantly involved with these people and to ensure that they're stress free.
What is your personal experience with the people of Jammu and Kashmir? And can you give us what the atmosphere around there was?
See, while we were in uniform, while I was in service, it was not advised for us to go out and mingle openly, because of the threat, obviously. So we had a lot of regulations about our movement. We had to move in a secure manner, only with a QRT, with protection. So we were not generally mingling with the population at large. But even when I was going in convoys as a convoy commander, and we would halt at some places for tea or for a short break, I could sense the hostility in their behavior. While some of them would be very friendly and talk to you very openly, but generally they would look at people in uniform with the certain a hostile look. That is something that I could sense all the time. And on one occasion, I got a chance to meet the local population, some girls, college girls, at a place. And when I started talking, I realized that they don't see you as their own. Even though I was not in uniform, and the fact that I was talking in a different accent they could make out that I'd come from, I was not a Kashmiri. And the approach that they had was like, oh, you come from India. So that kind of struck a chord, and I realized that they don't see you as their own.
So, ma'am, could you tell us more about your experiences from the perspective of an officer of the armed forces?
Okay, now that's a difficult question, I would say, and I'm likely to get emotional and biased when I answer this because my loyalties will remain with the organization and with the people that I worked with, right? As I said, I was part of the logistics arm of the army as part of Army Service Corps, taking care of the entire replenishment. Now, army typically has formations, Northern Command, uh, taking care of the northern part of India. There is Southern, Eastern, Western, and there's RTRAC and Central Command. So while I was serving there, I was part of the Northern Command formation. The people in infantry, and other units who actually go and do all the CI operations while I was part of the logistic, unit, which was more, I would say, working in the background. It is not it was not in the forefront directly dealing with the terrorists and operating in the CI ops environment. But during my tenure, I did have a couple of experiences which stand out, even today, and seem like a story when I look back at those instances. What's one such instance was in the month of November of 2000, I think 2001, when I was taking a convoy from Pathankot to Srinagar. And there is this security, we call them QRT, that moves with every convoy to protect them. And these convoys are like loaded convoys of 80 or 100 vehicles carrying all the stores and equipment and ammunition and other more expensive and controlled items for the forces. So the QRT basically protects the moving convoy. They're like interspersed between the fleet of vehicles, and they're like heavily equipped with with machine guns and other such munitions and weapons, and they kind of secured the moving convoy. So there was this QRT which was coming down from Srinagar with the down convoy, and same QRT at Ramban was to merge with us as we move upward. I mean, they would do a U-turn with us. But as we halted at Banihal for our lunch, this other QRT did not come, and we kept waiting and waiting, and then we got to hear that the convoy which came down, and as soon as the QRT moved away from them for a handover to our convoy as we move up, the that people from the down convoy were ambushed. So there were two local people in Firenze who had their AKs inside, and 19 soldiers were shot down, and they were unarmed because they were going on leave. Okay, so my heart goes out to these soldiers who come from different parts of the country. They actually come from very very small places, small villages from south or west or northeast of India, and fighting for a part of this country which where the locals don't feel as if they belong here, and then they have questions wherein they want to know, why are we fighting this? Who are we fighting this for? Why am I dying here in a land which my forefathers never knew existed? If you go to Srinagar today, if the localites feel that they're being harmed, you should look at the soldiers who are standing exposed to all kinds of threats and risks, right? Securing those roads as ROP party, or as generally standing there along the city markets and all, securing the people. The localites say that we feel threatened by them. What about those people who are standing exposed to everything that is happening around them?
And finally, ma'am, is there anything that you would like us as civilians, as Indians, to know?
Yeah. So as Indians, I just, as a spokesperson, or unappointed spokesperson from the fraternity of soldiers, I would want you all to know that the soldiers are fighting there for a cause. They're trying to keep this country safe and free, right? And they also have some rights. I keep hearing from the general masses, especially the civil population, about how the rights of Kashmiris are being harmed, how they're being deprived of their basic human rights. But what about the soldiers who are there? What happens to their human rights? What happens to their safety and security? When you have your own people, waging a war against you, a war of this nature, wherein everybody is a suspect, everybody can be, going against you. Just want people to know that, there are soldiers who are not even aware of the political propaganda that is happening. They're just there because they've been posted there and they've been told to do their duties, which is to protect the country from any harm. Just want you to realize this fact that these soldiers are dying there for what? For this country. And I would want all citizens, each countryman of India, to at least acknowledge the fact, give that respect and regard to the people who are in uniform, who are in active service.